Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well, take it away, Lee.
All right. Thanks, Donnie. Good to see you.
Yours.
This is called Everyone's Crazy About a Sharp Dressed Gramps. I recently told my retired 83-year-old father that it's time for him to go back to work. Not in finance, which is what he did for decades, but as a fashion influencer for geriatrics. People have always adored my dad for lots of reasons, but I think it's mainly because of his fashion sense and bravado. In the late 70s, he actually sported an engraved brass belt buckle that read, "I bring joy to women," which he wore unironically and incredibly not to my mother's chagrin. What do I care, is what my 80-year-old mother, in wedded bliss with my father now for 61 years, often answers when discussing my dad, regardless of topic. When in the 80s he decided he should become a catalog model and hired a photographer, my mom couldn't care less, but my brother, sister, and I nearly died laughing over the resulting contact sheet, which featured our father in myriad roles, all in his own clothes and props. There he was in dungarees, cowboy boots, and a 10-gallon hat. Then as a baseball player in a polo shirt with a Louisville Slugger, and again as a businessman in a top coat, fedora, and attaché case. Sadly, my dad's modeling career didn't take off, but some of those photos did succeed in becoming enlarged, framed, and displayed on many a family wall over the years. More recently, my dad has taken to donning hot pink or neon chartreuse pickleball outfits, and he often posts selfies on Facebook before heading out to play. The key to these get-ups is which baseball cap best coordinates with the shoelaces of whichever pair of sneakers he's wearing that day. My mother estimates he has 50 caps for this very purpose. In a recent post, he looked like a lemon yellow and lime green Rube Goldberg contraption come to life. And his Facebook friends ate it up, commenting, "Best dressed, that's for sure," wrote Tony. "Wow, look at that outfit," exclaimed Marilyn before adding, "I am impressed," and three more exclamation points. But my favorite came from Andrea, who wrote simply, "God bless." A Rashomon-like comment one may interpret any way one likes. My father always says that his pop, Grandpa Charlie, or Chaz, was a sharp dresser. Chaz was very polished and put together, with a penchant for pocket squares and Panama hats, and he was a welcome contrast to his counterparts in his retirement community in West Palm Beach. When we visit, we'd see all those guys in loud colors and bold prints. They were hard to miss, whereas Chaz, who'd owned a woman's clothing store in Brooklyn, was more of a baby blue and crisp whites kind of guy. With monogrammed cuffs and lots of texture in his clothes, he always seemed more Tweety Brit than Gabardine Jew. But my dad's style isn't like that at all. His is more colorful and patternful. He comes from the school of fashion, if there is such a thing, that says matching means dressing for success. Very direct, overt, and blatant matching. I mean, my dad is an incredible matcher. He has more colors to coordinate in his personal palette than a freaking kaleidoscope. And in every home they've ever lived, he's had more closet and drawer space, shoe racks, and fashion accessories than my mother. But she doesn't mind. "He has more clothes than me," she says whenever the subject comes up, along with her catchphrase, "Somebody has to be the girl," followed by, of course, her favorite afterthought, "What do I care?" When they moved into a condo in the late 80s, I loved impressing my friends with my dad's latest cutting-edge gizmo, a mechanical tie rack. "You have to see this," I'd say. Then lure them toward the machine, which was affixed to my parents' bedroom door. I pressed the button and my father's ties would parade around as though on a garment conveyor belt at the dry cleaners. All those pastels and paisleys looking like a Miami Vice-themed runway show during Fashion Week in Boca. It was downright hypnotic. Needless to say, my friends have long been fascinated by my dad's attire. My old boyfriend, Prasad, a design professor with the fashion sense to match, was spellbound and once conspired with my father to bust out their favorite spearmint-colored ensembles for a night out. Prasad looked great in dark green flat-panel trousers, which he contrasted with a lighter green shirt and black shoes, while my dad went with pleated spearmint pants and a button-down featuring blocks of teal, spearmint, and black outlined in pink. Even his shoes were similarly green themed and had tassels. I mean, where do you even find this stuff? I have photos from that night. Dad and Prasad as visions in spearmint as they posed by my father's car, which was also inexplicably on the minty side of the color spectrum. Then there was the time my friends and I started a magazine and my dad brought flowers to our new office. My friends knew all about my father's sartorial splendor, and the air was thick with anticipation over what he might wear on such an auspicious occasion. Although he didn't sport the full Cleveland, white shoes and a white belt, as opposed to the half Cleveland, which is one or the other, he did not disappoint. When he rolled up in his two-tone copper, burnt sienna-colored car, I shouted, "He's here!" And everyone gathered breathlessly by the window as though waiting for Willy Wonka to finally come out of the factory. The driver's door opened, and what emerged was magic. A mustard yellow alligator shoe with a 2-inch black chunk heel revealed itself, then descended slowly and made its way onto the ground. Someone gasped, "Dear God." But I don't remember much else other than there was a lot of brown and rust and naturally a mustard-colored stripe somewhere on his shirt to coordinate with the shoes, but needless to say, Dad's visit was a smash hit. Larry Flayton has always seen himself as Brooklyn's answer to Ricardo Montalban. But, as my mother says, what do I care? Let him think he's Ricardo Montalban. Isn't that the point of fashion, though? To find your sensibility and style and do with it as you like? We riv him a lot, but also recognize that's kind of fabulous that our guy can go from neon magenta sportswear to full Cleveland dinner attire as seamlessly as people on Tinder claim to go from jeans to black tie. Thanks, Donnie. I just have to get my dad on Instagram. I'm thinking his handle should be Sharp Dressed Gramps. I can already see the comments, like those that poured into his Facebook post when he appeared very on brand in lime green shoelaces and a matching cap. "Always the dapper dresser," wrote Donna. "Looking good," added Pamela, a sentiment that was echoed by Julie. I called my mother and asked what she thought about people egging him on. "He's always been this way," she said, then sighed. "It makes him happy." We all should be so lucky to be made happy by clothes and our appearance and to unabashedly seek and receive validation that we look good. But my mother says forget Instagram. Her husband should be a personal shopper for old men. "Some husbands are slobs and their wives have to shop for them and dress them," my mother explains. "They love that Larry dresses himself and they're part of his fan club." Then my mother pauses before once more asking her question for the ages. "What do I care?" And that's it. I interviewed my mother for this, by the way.
That's
I
a
love
good,
it.
yeah.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard you laugh while I was reading. That's great. It just made my day.
Maybe I'm slipping a bit.